Guys, hey, welcome to Cornerstone YouTube channel. Thank you guys for watching. We are doing the official Last Jedi review of the movie and what we think about it, and we're going to give our overall rating out of 10, and we're super excited about you guys going to see this movie. If you have not, go see it. There's going to be spoilers. So I want to tell you right now, if you're watching, drop the video, get it out of here. You don't want to hear any of this because there's going to be a lot of spoilers and we're just going to go over the movie. So I'm putting that out there first. So if you're watching right now, go ahead and drop the movie or drop the video. But thank you guys so much. If you would, hit that subscribe button on the bottom of your screen. And thank you guys so much for watching. Go to my friend's channel at Christ Gladiator and check out his channel. We are the difference in the YouTube channel world and in the Instagram, Facebook, and we're making a difference for Jesus Christ, and that's what it's all about. And at the end of the video, I want to tell you guys that we are going to relate Star Wars to our Christian walk. We're doing something new, so at the end of the video, you will hear our input on what we think it can relate and the things that it can relate to our Christian walk. That's something that we're going to do differently from all the other reviews on YouTube. We're going to do something different. So, all right, here we go. We're going to start the review. I hope you guys enjoy, and here we go. Here we go with the review. I hope you guys are ready. We're doing the character plots and all the characters that we saw that are important in the movie to us, and we're going to start with
Rey.
Rey. Okay, this was an interesting character in the movie. I was super surprised by her character. She was super just... strong.
She got a lot stronger in this movie.
A lot stronger. And tell me what you think.
The fact that like Luke and Rey are so different. I don't know, because she's supposed to be like the next iteration of Jedi, and she's so powerful yet she knows nothing. Like she hasn't learned. Like Luke trained with Yoda, and he's in the movie he's super powerful.
And I want to say this, in the movie, here's a spoiler alert, Luke is kind of scared of Rey because she has more darkness than she does light. And that's something that they're like introducing into the Last Jedi movie. When you see Luke and Rey interact, Luke is super scared of Rey. And it's crazy because, I want to put this out there, watching it, I think she is just as powerful as some of the Jedi Masters, because she knows more about the darkness and light. She doesn't know about the light, but she knows more about the darkness than most Jedi. But she chooses, in her intent of her heart, she chooses to do good. She chooses, with the powers that she is given, to do good in the film. And so, but it scares Luke because at the same time he's thinking, okay, she's going to be another Kylo or something like that.
Right.
But she's very powerful. Her and Kylo fought together. They seemed like they were more equal. I know it seemed like Rey was more powerful.
Right. And, well, she kind of gets a new power when Rey and Kylo, they end up being able to see each other through the Force.
That's true, yes.
And that was something new that they introduced, which I kind of like. Like, you can sense other Force beings, other Force users.
Yeah.
Like across the galaxy almost. And I think, that's one of the points where she's getting stronger than these, previous Jedi.
And let's go ahead and go into
Luke. So we've been talking about.
Yeah, let's go Luke. But I also want to say this. With the Force thing and like they channeled together her and Kylo. Supposedly Snoke had something to do with that. We'll get in that when we get to his review. But right now, let's talk about Luke. Luke is, I thought he was powerful back then in the older movies, but I think he is really, really powerful just because of all that he does. So I'm going to explain this to you guys. Luke Skywalker can literally transport himself. It's crazy. I don't know how to say this, but he can transport himself like a hologram across, the whole universe from one planet to the other. And
change his appearance too, make himself
that's true.
Look younger.
Yes, he did. That's crazy.
With objects that's too, true. Like he had the blue lightsaber.
Yes,
so
that's true.
He is super. We get a flashback of when Luke was training Kylo. There's this whole arc with him and Kylo and how Luke sensed this surge amount of dark force, I guess, in Kylo, because he had the Anakin Skywalker blood. He had the Skywalker blood. He was this, out of normal being with Force, and he sensed that, and he was afraid it was gonna, he saw that it was gonna be like another Darth Vader. He was gonna, murder all this.
That's true.
And he went into Kylo's cabin when I was sleeping, and he turned on his lightsaber. He apparently was trying to kill him, but he had this incident of regret, like, what am I doing? And that changed Kylo. Kylo was super. He turns out probably the best villain besides Darth Vader in Star Wars.
He is he is up. Okay, here's Darth Vader, and Kylo is like right there.
It is
so good.
Adam Driver, the actor that plays Kylo Ren, is probably my favorite actor.
Yes.
Since John Wayne, since the Old West, he
There's
is
something
so
different
good in
about
this
him.
movie.
There's something different about him. And, and another thing is Daisy Ridley was talking about in some videos that when Adam Driver was training with his lightsaber, I mean, dude, she said that he went all in. Like, he was 100% all in, and it seemed like he was enjoying himself and having fun.
And it was scary how much he was enjoying himself.
Yeah.
Finn's character, John Boyega,
Yeah.
said that, like, in Force Awakens, when John Boyega was fighting Kylo in the Force with the blue lightsaber, he said he was afraid of Adam Driver. That's how intense he was.
Funny. Yeah, but he takes it seriously, and his powers are kind of the same like Force Awakens. They don't really like improve on their powers, but something big happens in the movie, and we'll get into that. I think ultimately Kylo is going to become a huge superpower, because you look at Darth Vader, and he had Darth Sidious to teach him all that, and they were always consistently together. Well, now you wonder what's going to happen in Episode 9 with Kylo, because Kylo is on his own. So where is he going to go to learn all these powers? And here we go. We're going to get into it. The biggest thing that happened in the movie is Kylo kills Snoke. It was just
randomly.
Boom. It just happened. And he turns the lightsaber and just turns it on and just slices Snoke in half. And the reason all that led up to Snoke's death is because Kylo knew and sensed how powerful Snoke really was. Right. Snoke was more powerful, in my opinion, than Darth Sidious and Darth Vader. And we got into that.
We just saw a glimpse of his power in this movie before he died.
It was nuts.
There was a scene with General Hux in his Star Destroyer after the first space scene in the movie.
This was so funny.
And this random, I guess, General goes, Springler Snoke would like to talk to you. And General Hux sent it to my office. But Springler Snoke just pops up in this hologram in the middle of the ship. And General Hux is so surprised, and he tries to go behind him, but Snoke literally picks him up and slams him on the other side.
It was so funny.
Through the hologram.
It was so funny.
It was so funny. General Hux was, I think they turned him into a comedic relief in this movie, which I kind of like, because he was more of the serious dark in The Force Awakens. And Springler Snoke was really powerful. We got to see his lightning.
Yes.
Right before he died.
He has lightning / force push and pull, and
he twisted Rey sideways, upside down. It was powerful. He was powerful.
But back to Kylo. Kylo was so jealous of Snoke. You could feel it leading up to the point where he killed him. That he was thinking in his mind. In my mind, I was thinking the same thing. If I was Kylo, I would get rid of Snoke because of how powerful he was. And that moment when he walked in to talk to Snoke, you felt like Snoke was about to end Kylo, right there.
Snoke was talking about how he was,
he
was looking forward to this new Darth Vader, and he was talking about how it would be so awesome to have a reborn Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And Snoke was like, maybe I was wrong about you, Kylo.
Yeah.
That's true. Cinched Kylo backwards, and Kylo gets really angry. And when he's in the elevator, he smashes his helmet.
Yes.
And he looks down at it, and it's very similar to Darth Vader's helmet at the end of Last Jedi.
And he just walked away from it.
He got even angrier. They zoomed in on his face. He's like this, and he punched it more.
Because Snoke was acting like Kylo was just a little boy in a mask.
Yeah, he wasn't.
That was his
anything
words.
special. And there's this whole. We'll get to that in the end, but there's this whole overarching story, I guess, in this movie that Ryan Johnson would try to pull off. That something special can come from nobody.
That's true.
So that was a big part of Kylo's reason that he killed Snoke, because Snoke said he was a nobody, but Kylo knew that he had Anakin's blood in him.
And Rey and Kylo, we still do not know who the parents are. We really don't know. And Kylo references, because I should have talked about this with Rey's review. Kylo says that your parents are nothing
To Rey.
To Rey. And you wonder,
Some random junkers that sold her for, drinking
at Jakku.
On Jakku.
And I was just like, we don't really know who the parents really are. Right. And they were about to say it, like there's a moment when it's about to just come out, but nothing.
That's kind of like she's wanting to know who her parents are. When she's on the island with Luke training, there's a scene very similar to Empire Strikes Back when Luke goes into the cave and fights Darth Vader and sees himself in Darth Vader's mask. There's a very similar scene with Rey when she goes down in this dark cave and she goes up and looks through the wall and she sees just a line of herself forever, all the possibilities of herself forever. But she goes, I see the end of the line, I'm going there. And we reach the end of the line and she touches the wall again and she's asking the Force to show her parents and she sees herself.
Yeah.
It was very similar to what
Luke saw and Darth Vader. Like Luke had the Darth Vader.
And how mask. You can see yourself in the darkness, basically.
Okay, so on the next character, who we got?
We'll do Leia next.
Okay. Leia. She's very interesting. The movie was interesting.
Kind of controversial, I think.
A lot. And there's tons of critics out there, this little part that happened. So I'm just going to give you the basics of what happened. So Leia's in this ship, they're running from the First Order, and they're getting shot at. No fuel. No fuel, they can't hit light speed because the First Order can track them through light speed, which is crazy.
Right.
But Leia, the ship actually gets shot, and Leia gets pulled out into space. And we're like, oh, this is where she ends. And all of a sudden, they get her on camera, and she's frozen in space, and she twitches her finger. And
opens her eyes.
And we all just went...
We're like, what?
What in the world is happening? And then all of a sudden, she starts floating.
Flying.
Yes, floating back to the ship. And Poe runs over, opens the door, and she's back into the movie. And we thought, okay, well, this is going to be the ending for her. And everybody, I guess, thought that, and Ryan Johnson was just pulling something and said, we're not going to get rid of her.
Right.
We're going to pull her right back in, and that's exactly what happened.
Well, she's in a coma for most of the movie to the end.
Yeah.
And that's how I thought they were going to leave her, in a coma, just because, they didn't have Carrie Fisher anymore.
Yeah.
But she came back at the end of the movie, finished the movie, and she's alive now.
Yeah, which is kind of... I don't know how to take it, and a lot of people didn't know how to take it.
Right. Because how would they... Well, I just don't know. Maybe they'll address it in the opening crawl, but I think that'd be kind of... I don't know.
But everybody knew that Leia had some kind of force. Like, everybody, because they could sense it with Luke. And I was wondering, is she going to be a Jedi, in one of these movies? But she never ended up doing that. But she did have the force. And she is powerful. Right. And so I think we haven't seen that out of Leia, and all of a sudden that happened, and I'm kind of just up in the air about it. I don't know what to think, but she did an awesome job in her acting skills. Like, she's just Leia. Like, you can't explain it. Yeah. But she's a good character, and there's a moment at the very end where Luke actually kissed her on her forehead. And everybody just kind of just gasped, and everybody's like, that's just awesome.
And the credits, there's this awesome shot of Leia covering her mouth, and it says in memory of Carrie Fisher. I thought that was very good.
And it was a good ending.
It was a good ending.
The whole Force thing, floating through space, was up there for me.
It was odd, but I think it was okay. I think it was fun.
It was okay.
I think it was just to show that she grew in her Force powers.
Yeah.
from the last time we saw her.
And that makes sense.
It makes sense.
It makes sense. And she could, sense Kylo's presence when he was coming to the ship.
She felt Han die in Force Awakens.
That's true. And she has that sense. And Luke, like when he was at Bespin and he's at the bottom of that, that big, huge place and he's down there and she could sense him and they came back for him.
I wonder if she knew if Luke's, when he showed up on Crate, if she actually knew it wasn't him.
Ooh,
like
that would be
or maybe he's just so powerful that he actually puts himself there, but not really. I think that's kind of what people are complaining about because these new powers are kind of iffy and they don't understand it. Yeah, and I mean, so
it's something that everybody might have to start getting used to.
Right,
it's something different. It's something, and everybody's so touchy about Star Wars.
Let's talk about Finn just for a second. He's this random kid that got stolen by the First Order to be a stormtrooper, and he's basically a coward. But not. I think they kind of changed his character in this movie. He's not really a coward in this movie.
Yeah, he turns out to be a hero.
Right.
And Rose looks at him as a hero.
Right.
And I think you could say that the whole new area or the new, the place, the new planet that they're on, you wonder if it's setting up for the Han Solo movie because it seemed like that's where all the bounty hunters would hang out.
Right.
But
all the rich people wanting to smuggle something.
Yes, and there's a lot of... Okay, so in the movie there's this new character that arrives on scene, and he's the guy that takes them to the Snoke ship, and he gets through the First Order's security codes, and he's the only guy that can do that. Well, he turns to turns to Finn and says, hey, there's weapons being sold to the First Order, but hold up. There's also a weapon that's been sold to the Resistance, which is the igniter thing that's on the back of Poe's X-Wing. And it makes him like almost go into light speed.
Right.
And you wonder, what does that have to do with? And Finn and Rose kind of figure that out, and they meet this character on this planet. That's why this whole planet's kind of a big deal.
And I think that's something they'll touch on more in Episode 9 is like the marketplace of war, basically, and what all that entails. But Rose, there was a point where we thought Finn was going to die. He was going to sacrifice himself for the last of the Resistance.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be this huge, strong moment for the character of Finn. Yeah. And then they had this Rose girl come in and save him. Yeah, and a lot of people have critiqued Rose because everybody thought she was an annoying character. Right. And with Rose, I actually liked the character. I liked the character.
And I liked Finn, and I like what was going on. I just don't know what they're doing with Rose and throwing her out there. But at the end of the movie, she did save Finn. So I don't know what they're going to do with her in the future, but it's going to be interesting. Okay, so the next point that we have is...
the positives and negatives of the whole entire plot movie.
And there is so many positives.
So many.
And the biggest thing is I forgot to say this, but we forgot to talk about Yoda. Yoda was the biggest positive thing.
Biggest positive.
Like, it shook the room when he... Okay, so spoiler alert, he is back, he is mighty, and he is amazing.
And he is a puppet.
And that was the biggest thing for Star Wars critics, is bringing him back as a puppet. And now in the later movies, the prequels, they didn't like him animated. And when they brought him back with a puppet... everybody could relate. Everybody was just so happy.
I think they even did a poll,
it was amazing.
Like a campaign, like Star Wars fans campaign to have Puppet Yoda.
Yes.
Instead of CGI Pope.
And it was so much better.
It was good. They did a good job.
It was amazing. It was so good.
It looked just like the old puppet.
It was amazing.
It was good.
But Yoda in this was a huge positive for The Last Jedi. I mean, I think that kind of sparked it to be one of the top movies. And Yoda was just incredible. Like him and Luke's, relationship in the past movies were the exact same thing in this movie.
Yoda popped him, smacking him with the stick.
Yes, popped him right in the forehead. It was hilarious, and Luke was just, trying to figure out how to deal with all this, and then all of a sudden, Yoda brings down the lightning and destroys the Jedi Order. Just destroys all the books, everything. And we thought, man, this is going to be a big part. But no, Yoda just dropped the bomb and just destroyed it.
The funniest thing I think Yoda says, and Luke's talking about how, how could you get rid of all these ancient Jedi texts?
Yeah.
And Yoda goes, not much of a page turner are they? And everybody in the theater cracked up.
It was so good. It was so good.
Yoda was a big positive.
Big positive, and when they brought him back, everybody was just super excited. And it just had that Star Wars feel. It just had like, you know, you were watching a Star Wars film. It was just so good, and I'm glad they brought him back. I really am. And CP3O and R2D2. But I'm gonna tell you this, Luke, like in the film, he acted just like he did in the last, you know, movies when he was on. Like it seemed like Luke was revived,
because you know farm boy.
Yeah, and you know, like he gets older, and you're like, okay, well he's gonna be a little bit different. His look is gonna be a little bit different.
Rougher.
But it was the same. It was really, really good.
His humor was, there was a really funny point where a kind of a throwback to the blue milk in New Hope when they're sitting there.
It's so
and there's this
funny.
weird like camel looking thing sitting on a rock. And he just walks up to it and milks it.
It was so
he looks over at Rey and takes a sip of the blue milk.
It was super great. It was super great.
A big positive for me was the very ending fight scene on Crate. Amazing.
Yes.
Reminded me so much of Hoth.
Just
the big AT-ATs.
The guy that came out and like visualized through the scopes and saw the big AT-ATs.
Right.
Just the whole thing.
The way they zoomed in on the troops in the trenches,
coming forward,
their guns on in the trench.
So good.
And then the part where Luke's hologram gets shot by all those AT-ATs.
Yes.
And this huge cloud of red sand or salt, whatever it was. It was so good. Such a good part of the movie. And
also the speeders. You know, you have the speeders come in, and it just brought that Star Wars feel. But I wish in the movie, here's kind of a negative.
Where are we getting the negatives?
You know, they didn't do a whole lot. They didn't do, you know, what I thought they were going to do, like shoot at the big walkers. But then here comes this huge weapon.
Right.
And this weapon comes in and shoots through this huge barrier that they had at this base. And it was just kind of like, okay, well, you're hoping Hoth, you know, and like AT-AT was going to get roped around and, you know, fall down. But no, it was like the speeders didn't even matter. So that was kind of a negative for Star Wars for me. I wish they would have gone kind of like the Hoth battle scene, but they didn't. So
a negative for me is Chewie's appearances in this movie. Limited Chewie.
Limited.
And his reaction with the porridge is great and all, but Chewie is basically the last of Han. Now that, you know, Carrie Fisher's dead.
Yeah.
You know, this is the last thing connecting to Han since Luke, you know, disappeared.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to see more of him in the next movie interacting with, you know, Finn and Poe and Rey. Mostly Rey, I think. And like the other droids, like he had, you know, in Empire Strikes Back, the best thing about, you know, Chewie was his interaction with C-3PO.
Yeah.
And him carrying on his back through, you know,
that's true.
That city. And it was just a disappointment not to see more of Chewie, that's all.
And another negative for me is also you would see Rey in moments, like on the ship, on Snoke's ship, and then all of a sudden the ship got destroyed. And this rebel, this huge ship just shot through Snoke's ship and just broke it in half. And then it was the end of Kylo and Rey's battle, and she just disappears.
Right.
And you didn't even see like how she got on the ship and how she escaped.
How Chewie found her.
Yeah, and then she would come onto Crate, and she would just appear on Crate and just save the people, you know, out of the hole that they were trying to get out of. And it was just, I wish they would have put in a little bit more detail with Rey and her escape from these places, but you know, it was a 2-hour and 30-minute movie, so I mean,
I'm sure there was a lot they cut out.
Yeah.
Like I think there might have been a scene where Chewie goes and gets Rey from that ship.
Yeah.
With the Millennium Falcon, but you know they had to. I think instead of cutting like, you know, small character moments like that, they should have cut out more of the Canto stuff. Yeah. Canto by the casino world.
And I like the world. I like
the
whole thing about that. But I'm with you.
It was very slow.
It was very slow.
The pacing was very slow in that.
And it took a lot of time.
Right.
But one thing that I do have to say about the new world that they introduced is they're bringing in like new characters,
Right,
like
new
with
places,
and I like that. I like Crate. I like, you know, that they did an amazing job on Crate. That was the best planet I've ever seen Star Wars come up with. Like, I think that's like one of my top besides Hoth. But this new place where they're in the casino, like, you know, that whole plot line where they have a racetrack with these, you know, horse-looking things that are racing. That's so cool. I think that was a good deal that they did there.
I think a way they could have made that better, instead of like this weird. I mean, it's cool to have new wildlife and see the life of Star Wars, you know, be evolved in these new movies. But it also made it cool to see, you know, past, you know, pod racing evolve.
Yeah.
Like past traditions in the older movies.
That would be insanely awesome.
It would have been cool to have like a new form of pod racing in that racetrack on that new planet.
But they didn't do it. It was kind of, I was like hoping for that. And we talked about that before we went and saw the movie.
Right.
And we were thinking, okay, this is going to be it. But it's okay with what they did. It's okay, but I wish they would have done a little.
And I could see where they're going there with these like animals. Like it was kind of like a horse racing track.
Yeah.
And you bet on these horses, kind of like what a casino where a casino would do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was like how people say it was too Harry Potterish. It was too mystical, I think.
Yeah. It's true. And it's just it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with it. Maybe it has something to do with Han Solo, because you see a lot of these bounty hunters there. You don't know what they're gonna do, and you don't know what they're gonna set up, because Rian Johnson, I think, in this movie, The Last Jedi, he is setting up for a lot of things to come for Star Wars. And maybe that's why it's so critical and people are getting so bad reviews on this movie. I mean, maybe that's it. I don't know.
And he when he's talking about his new trilogy that he's coming up with, we'll talk about that probably in another video. But he references that he doesn't want to go back and do like Knights of the Old Republic. He wants to do something that nobody's seen before, and I think that was him kind of hinting at what he wants to do. Yeah. Go super far in the future.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'd kind of like that. I think it'd be kind of cool to see what he has, because his creative mind in this movie.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. His
direction.
He came
up with the Porg, came up with Crate.
Right.
It was nuts.
And the way this movie was shot, the cinematography is amazing.
And that's why I think Disney loves him so much, is because they want him to direct these new movies, because they don't know who to go to. George Lucas was the guy that came up with Star Wars, and now maybe this is his heir to the throne, and maybe like this guy is going to do things that no one else could do. I mean, he's got a creative mind, and he's perfect for the job. Just there's a lot of critiques maybe he can learn from and taking to the next movies.
I think Disney has a kind of a small part in that, because they're always wanting to make money, and I think all of these like these new things like the Canto. I think the whole point of that Canto was to sell that little horse toy.
Maybe that's the reason why.
And all these new weird ships and new I think it's a small part. I don't think it's Disney would do that to a certain extent, but I think it's in there. I think it's
they're trying to make money off Star Wars, and
they're making a ton of money.
And they're making a ton. Okay, guys, so we're back, and we are going to do how does this movie relate to your Christian walk? And this is such a big deal, because in this movie you can relate to Christ through this. And I'm going to tell you guys, it is a fight between good and evil. And when you see Kylo, you see the bad side. And when you see Rey, Yoda, Luke, you see the good side. And both of those collide. And like what Snoke says, the light collides with the darkness. And you wonder, how does that relate to Christianity? How does that relate to God? And what we can take out of is Rey in the movie was getting tempted by the dark side. It was easy to see that, and she had these visions, and you'll get into that. And it was easy for her to, go to the dark side and dive into it and see what it could give her as a person in the character, like how it could give her power. And so, in real life, we have that same situation with life in general. We have money, we have, cars, houses, just power in general. We want more as humans. We have that sinful nature, and it's all about your mind and how you battle that. And what we can take away from Rey is Rey listened to her heart, and her heart was telling her to be good, to do good, and be on the light side, and listen to Luke and learn from Luke. And you can apply that to your life by not giving in to temptation. It's too easy to give in to power and to money. And we have to glorify Christ through our life and what we do in action, and with the words that we say. You know, everybody's looking at what we're doing as Christians and our actions, and we have to know that Christ is a center point in our lives, and we have to show that. And so it is a fight between good and evil. So talk about Rey and talk about, you know, her connection.
So in her vision, when she's down in this dark cave, she goes looking into the darkness for answers. And she keeps on searching, she keeps on seeing herself after herself, you know. But she never gets her answers out of the darkness. She just keeps seeing herself.
That's so true.
And in life, you go looking into drugs, you go looking into, you know, sex and porn and stuff. You're not going to find answers.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to keep, you know, repeating it and keep getting into, you know, the same things over and over again. You're never going to get anywhere. So she realized that, and she says, you know, I am the answer. You know, and you have to make yourself believe in Jesus. You can't, you know, go looking for other things to believe in, because it won't work. It won't satisfy you. You're not going to find your answers you're looking for. And then Yoda talks about, you know, the greatest way to learn and to, you know, to grow is from failure.
Yes.
And you know, if you are looking into stuff and you're failing and you're getting into all this, you know, sinful stuff, learn from it. Don't just sit there and dabble in it and be like, what am I doing? Pray about it. Get into the Word. Challenge yourself to change yourself. And you'll grow.
And it's so important because as a Christian, you can relate to movies. These movies that come out. You know, I always ask him, I said, you know, before we go into this movie, what can we take away from the movie to improve on our lives? And Star Wars is there. Star Wars is one of those movies where you can say, okay, there's good and there's evil, and they're constantly fighting. And the good always wins. And it's true in our Christian walk because God is with us. And behind us is the angels. And they're protecting us and they're with us. And we can have victory in our life. And we just have to choose it. And Satan's going to say, okay, you're weak. Or you need this. Or you need power. You need money. You need sex. You need all these things. And we don't. God is saying, focus on me. Focus on what I want you to do. And we can get caught up in that stuff. So it's something that you can take away from Star Wars is God is always the answer. The dark side is not. It's tempting to go to that direction, and it's tempting to give in to those things, but at the end of the day, they're going to hurt you, and they're not going to be there for you. God is always with you and is always for you, and He loves you. And that's the most important thing when you come onto this channel, is that you learn that Jesus is the answer in every circumstance of your life. And so I encourage you guys to get into the Word of God and to relate movies when you go see them. Before you go see them, just ask yourself, what can I take away from this movie that I'm seeing? Is it going to improve my walk with Christ? And we enjoy Star Wars. Yeah. We enjoy, you know, going together and you know, talking about Star Wars and games and all this stuff.
And look for things that'll help you grow as a person in these movies, and you'll enjoy them more. You know?
Yes, and it's so important that you just look at movies and you say, hey, what can I take away from this? Right. And I can take away from Star Wars, hey, good is always the answer. Good is going to be the winner in the end. So I encourage you guys with that word. And what is our overall rating of Star Wars The Last Jedi? What do you give it out of 10?
9.8 or 9.7. I said this earlier. 3 things that make it a 9.7, just because the movie is just so good. And I love Star Wars. It gives it a 9 immediately. The reason why it doesn't give it a 10 in my mind is because there's not a lot of Chewbacca. There's some weird mystical stuff happening with Leia. And the whole Canto Bight stuff, it was super slow.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so my overall rating of The Last Jedi, I give it a little bit lower than that. I give it a 9.2. And the reason I say that is because I was waiting for, you know, to feel that Star Wars feeling in some spots.
I can see it.
And there was some spots that was like, okay, you can relate to Star Wars.
And you didn't get that till you saw Yoda.
Yes. And R2-D2 and C-3PO and Chewie.
And the vision of Leia. That's why I just give it a 9, because there's so much stuff that's so good.
But it's a 9.2 because I didn't feel like it was a 10. I think it was like setting up for Episode 9 to be an epic ending for the whole Skywalker saga. And I think that's what Rian Johnson wanted, is to lead up to the 9 movie. But it has to be around the 9
Yeah,
area.
I think it was better than Force Awakens.
Okay.
And that's, it's hard to, in a series of 3, get better.
Yeah.
And, you look at the Avengers,
Yeah.
Avengers Age of Ultron is not as good as the first Avengers.
That's
just
true.
because it's so nostalgic.
That's true.
But I think in this, same thing with Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back is a lot better than New Hope. And I think I don't think it's a lot better, but I think it is better than Force Awakens.
Yeah.
And not to, put anything on Force Awakens, it's, top 4 Star Wars. But it's just, there was something so similar to that in New Hope. And I think that's where a lot of critics, why it has, so many critiques of this movie. It's because it's so different. Yet Force Awakens was so similar.
Yeah.
So I don't know. A 9.8, 9.7.
I want to do a 9.1 or 9.2, but it's Star Wars, so you got to put
a 9 before the point.
Yes. it's Star Wars, and I enjoyed it. I love being around Star Wars stuff, guys. I love it. It's so amazing, and I cannot wait for Episode 9. And if you haven't, go see The Last Jedi, and all this will be amazing. I mean, I can't wait for the years that Star Wars, keeps coming out every year.
We have another one
it's
coming
going
up
to
in
be
a few
amazing.
months.
Yes, Han Solo. I mean, that's going to be amazing. We're going to see Boba Fett. We're going to see Han Solo. We're going to see Chewie. Maybe Lando. Who knows?
Right.
We'll see what happens.
Lando is in the movie.
Okay. And it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be good. The gold dice in this movie are key.
Yes. Okay. So
Just
everybody stop
dice.
this. We are going to do an alert. Gold dice. What is going on with
right. Hint to Han Solo movie.
I think so. I think it does have to do with Han Solo. It's just, you wonder, what is it?
Right. What is it? Why are they there?
And it was in the Millennium Falcon.
It was in the Millennium Falcon.
So, spoiler alert right there, guys. The gold dice, watch out for that. Just watch everything. And I want to add this too, very last thing. My friend didn't see it in the movie. Maybe I was seeing stuff. But I saw a boy in the very end that was floating in air, and he goes out to this garage area where this door's open, or
It was
I can't
on
remember.
Kanto.
Yeah, and he looks up in the sky, and the Millennium Falcon just hit light speed, and he could see that. But I thought I saw him use the Force and float, and I'm gonna have to go see it a second time because we've only seen it once. So I'm gonna have to go see that a second time and see if he floats. But I think it would happen because Rian Johnson's trying to, promote his next 3 trilogy.
Right.
And so maybe he's not a Skywalker. Maybe this is a new character that they're adding.
Where did Obi-Wan come from? We don't know where Obi-Wan there's all these powerful Jedi that are just, we don't have any backstory to him.
Yeah.
So I think that's what he's trying to hint at, that, Jedi could be nobody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at Anakin.
Right.
Just a bunch of, what do you call them, Millennium Chloricans or
Midichlorians or whatever.
Yes, that's the
what
word
the prequels came up with. Oh, gosh.
That's what made Anakin, he had no dad. So, it was just a mom, and he was the chosen one, and everybody thought that. So you wonder, okay, where are these other characters coming from? Like Yoda and Obi-Wan and all that. So it's going to be interesting what happens. Guys, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoy this. If you would, please subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram. And now we are on Facebook. Go check us out at Cornerstone Gaming. And also, we're doing a new thing with the channel. We're promoting our live stream that we're starting on Mixer. It's just like Twitch. It's a new app that Xbox has. And we are starting a new streaming service for you guys. So go check us out. And my link is in my Instagram and Facebook. I always put out, when I am on live streaming. This week, I'm going to premiere that, and it's going to be amazing. It's just something that we can add to our ministry and to reach people for Jesus, and that's what we're all about. We're making a difference in the gaming world for Christ. And so thank you guys so much. If you would, subscribe to his channel at Christ Gladiator, and thank you guys so much for watching. This is Star Wars The Last Jedi review and what we think of it and how you can relate Star Wars to in your Christian walk. Thank you guys so much for watching.